are back with Rodeo Today and my good friend Don Graham. And we said in the last deal we're going to talk about the NFR a little bit. Before we talk about these new boys, let's talk about the famous ones of the days of yore. And Don Graham, tell me about yourself. How many times your NFR experiences?
My NFR experiences, I've been 3 times. I went and started in 1974, the first year I got out of college. Graduated from Texas A&M and rodeoed full-time that year and made the NFR. Then I made it again in 75. Had a little skip at the 76 with the bubble issue, and then back again in 77, and that's when I wrapped it up for my career.
You bubble issue, did that mean you right outside the top 50?
Right outside the top 50.
So you was one of them guys on that plane flying back home crying.
Yeah,
right. I get it. And, you know, I'm fortunate, knock on wood, I never was on that deal. I was in the bubble issue at the Cow Palace for the championship, because you remember a couple of years there, they give away the season championship there and kind of stole me in a couple of championships for me and Donnie.
Right.
We haven't forgotten.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know.
Who was your traveling partners in 74?
Oh, man. 74 was a great year. I traveled with Mike Bandy, and I went to a lot of rodeos together, but we traveled with Pete Gay and Donnie Gay and Monty Henson, and all kind of denned up in that guacamole and hit the rodeo.
That's a story we'll tell later on. When we get a few more hours, we'll tell about the guacamole.
A lot of stories about the
guacamole, yeah. You know, I didn't realize until now, our good friend Bobby Steiner, he hung it up in 73, so you didn't go to the finals with Bobby.
No, I did not. But
you rodeoed a lot with Bobby.
Oh, I rodeoed a lot with Bobby. This dates back to when we were kids going to AJRA rodeos together. We went, Beverly and Tommy took us to a lot of kid rodeos back in that day and time. You
know, when we talk about these great bull riders, of course, you know a lot of them, and most of you guys, I grew up, and kind of where I got to know the bull riders is I was so young as a steer wrestler versus their age. I hung out more with the bull riders than the steer wrestlers. But you know what, Bobby, I don't know if anybody ever made a bull look prettier than he could. He looked like...
He had great style.
He was as classy a bull rider as I ever seen. Too bad he cut her short.
Yeah, well, he did what he wanted to do.
No, I get it. I get it. He's a great guy, and he's been successful in everything he's done.
Everything.
All right, now you...
Well, back to
wait
rodeo
a minute.
business.
We ain't got through with you yet. Okay, 75, you go back to the finals. Mm-hmm. What year was it you won Dallas? That was one of the years, because I was just about getting my permit.
Well, no, I did not.
Excuse me.
I had Black 6 there.
Black 6, that's what I always keep thinking you won it, but the judges must not have seen it right.
Actually, in 76 was the first time I had him there, and boy, he got me right at the whistle, and that cost me going to the NFR that year. Okay. I could have won Dallas, but for a couple of more seconds, maybe.
Yeah.
But then I had him again the following year in 77. Had him in the long go, and then came back in the short go.
So you had him in the long go at Dallas that year. But you also, didn't you? Black 6, the bull we're talking about, I love that little old bull. He was really bad to get out on and stuff like that, but he might have been the fastest spinning bull I've ever seen.
He was,
but you rode him in the mud up there at Saxton, didn't you? See, I bet you didn't know all this.
He had a good day with me at Saxton. I know. I wound up splitting the bull riding that year with Donnie on a bull, but...
well, they had to load Donnie.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, no, he was a good bull. I got on him maybe 6-7 times, and maybe rode him twice, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, you went to the finals 3 times. Don's famous for his friend shirts. Who come up with that?
You know what? I just kind of came up with that on my own. I mean, well, I didn't come up with it. Roy Rogers and Gene Autry came up with it years ago. But I thought, hey, maybe just something to add a little more action to the event. Like bull riding doesn't have enough action to start with, but you wore fringe on your chaps. I thought, well, I'll get a shirt and have Williams Taylor's there in Fort Worth made some for me.
Is that who made them? Williams? Yeah. That's who made shirts for me.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? Today's date, everybody's got sponsors, and they got all the patches and stuff. And I get it. I mean, we move on, but the days of yore, everybody had their satin shirts and the Casey Tibbs and the double-breasted satin.
He had those bib shirts.
Bib shirts and all that stuff with the big monogram here in the middle. And I mean, it was a different day. But, we take sponsors, as it does This Pony Don't Buck for free, this show, to go down the road.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what took precedent of it, yeah. Of the NFR, and then I'll move on. What was your favorite or your best memory? If you said, what about the NFR? What was your...
Well, I'll tell you, it's kind of funny. Had a great memory of before it ever started. With Mike Bandy and I were sitting there at the old Holiday Inn bar having a beer one afternoon, the day before the rodeo was going to start, and just reminiscing about what it took to get us there.
Was that Bando's first year?
Yeah, that was his first year.
Y'all was both rookies.
Yeah,
or rookies to the finals.
In NFR.
Yeah.
But I made 2 or 3 good bull rides out of all those years at NFR. It was
the first year I went to NFR was 77. Would have been your last year. And there's 2 things I remember about that year, vivid. I mean, just like today. 77. Don, the guy that wins the most money at the NFR in each state carries your flag. So it's a great honor to carry the flag. And if you can carry the flag for the state of Texas,
you've done something.
You've done something.
Because there's a herd that ride in behind
There's
those
38 guys riding right in behind you. And so we went in there, and Donnie, with his arrogant self, picked up the Texas flag. And the year before, they have tape on their masking tape that who carried it the year before.
Oh, really?
And so the masking tape was there, and it was practicing for the grand entry, and it said Larry Mahan. And Donnie says, off with the old, on with the new. And I never, you think about all your memories and what have I run, 161 steers at the national finals, and I remember Donnie ripping off some masking tape. And the other one was, if you'll remember that year, of course, the bull riding is way down. It probably wasn't as recognizable for y'all, but when you practiced at the Merritt Coliseum at Oklahoma City, you'd come in there practicing. It'd be dingy, dark, and some
Jim Norick arena.
Jim Norick, thank you.
Yeah.
You go in for the rodeo, and they televised the first performance on Ford live. So they turned all them TV lights on. Well, now you're talking about a 19-year-old kid. He ain't seen these TV lights.
Pretty bright.
We're at this big deal. And riding in that deal behind, there was Donnie, Hawkeye, you, probably there's 4 or 5 of my buddies, and I was up toward the front. I'm like, am I really here? I'm going to have to pinch myself.
Well, you talk about something exciting that happened. In 74, of course, it's just exciting. Riding in the grand entry is not a big deal at every rodeo you go to, but at the NFR it is.
It is.
And I remember riding in there on a little old broomtail horse, and we were going at high speed as he'd go, and Rusty Riddle rode up beside me and jerked the bridle off of him.
Lord.
So I'm riding around there 90, going 90 to nothing with no control. But fortunately, he fell in there pretty good and lined up with everybody else.
There's been a lot of pranks.
A lot of pranks pulled on during that grand entry deal. Yeah. No.
I used to, earlier in my career, I rode up to the front. In the last of my years, I rode at the very last. All right. Well, we want to go to these standings right now. And let me get some of them up. Let's go to the world standings. What event are we going to talk about today?
Let's talk about the bareback riding.
All right. Sounds good. Let me get up here right there. Bareback riding.
I'm just looking down the list at some of these guys. I'm telling you, there is some really tough hands that are competing in the bareback riding right now, and there's some tough ones that didn't make the finals, I can tell you.
You know, that was exactly what I was going to say, Don. If you look down at this list, you got Wyatt Denny, Mason Clemens, Will Lowe, Chad Rutherford, Shane O'Connell,
These
Leighton
are the guys
Barris.
outside.
This is who didn't make
That's
it.
who didn't make
down
it.
to 30, you could have a good national finals rodeo with 16 to 30.
Well, these bareback riders nowadays are reminiscent of the group of bull riders that were in my era. And I felt like at that day and time, there was 60 to 70 guys that could win at any given day at any given rodeo.
And it's amazing. 10 years ago, and then I date myself because I had several rodeo careers. The last rodeo career was driving Miss Mary around.
Right.
So I got to know a lot of these guys. And 10 years ago, this group has come on. They're all young. They was absolutely almost out of bareback riders.
Exactly.
I mean, you couldn't even get enough bareback riders to have a rodeo.
But there's been a huge resurgence in the bareback riding and an interest in the sport. And boy, we talk about this later on, but there's a lot of young up-and-comers coming down the trail that are going to be something
there's
to watch.
absolutely. I mean, you got a guy down there, 28, Austin Foss. Some of these guys that, I mean,
they're perennial NFR competitors.
Every year. But you know what? sorry about their luck. Let's talk about the ones that did make it.
Yes, sir.
Who do you like?
Man, I tell you what, there's two in there that I really like, and that's KC Field and Tilden Hooper. And KC's such a proven winner and a multiple year champion.
Well, duh.
And I mean, he's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But Tilden's really come on real strong. And then I'll tell you what, you can't have the conversation without talking about Tim McConnell.
Well, how do you think Tim's going to come back with that tailbone?
That's his only issue. Is he's coming in with
They say they took his tailbone off.
Yes, coming in with a heck of a
surgery. You ever
surgery.
had a tailbone problem?
Yeah, I have.
I have too.
Yeah, certainly.
Alfalfa. I missed a steer in Houston. I like to kill myself.
Yeah, certainly.
And I had to sit on a donut in the car for no telling how long. It's the most painful thing you go through.
Very painful.
And he's going to come back to the NFR getting on these tough horses.
But he is a dedicated workout man. I mean, he is a gym rat. And so I think he'll do whatever it takes to get himself
And how are
in
you
shape
not going to pick world champion Clayton Bigelow?
Well,
he didn't fall off the pumpkin truck coming through town.
I mean, you could say that about everybody going down through the top 15 right now.
Well, you got Richmond champion down there. He's won more. He's probably won as much as anybody. First man to win $1 million.
Sure.
And he's ready to go. Olin Larson's won the Riggin Rally, a couple times, or at least once, I know for sure he won the one last year up there in Montana when it was cold. I don't know. Tell me about this Garrett Shadbolt. He kind of slid in under the radar.
Isn't he from Nebraska?
He's from Nebraska.
Yeah. He's a young guy, but he's been around a while, and hey, he's got it going on.
I'm gonna tell you the one that I think is gonna do. He's a rookie. He's young, but he ain't because his dad's been there, done that, and that's Cole Franks.
Cole Franks, another good one. And we skipped over Cole Reiner. Another great one right there.
Yeah.
Just a consistent winner.
Well, that'll get us down finishing up with Tyler Broussard.
Taylor Broussard from Louisiana.
Yes,
yeah.
Taylor and Zach Hibber from Texas. I'm not familiar with him.
Young guys. Taylor's been around a while, but Zach's pretty new to the game. And when you say that, I mean, he's new to the PRCA side of it, I think. But, hey, anybody in that top 15
they
right there?
won $65,000 to get there.
Yeah.
You didn't win $65,000 not knowing
being able to ride.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, I think that separates the men's from the boys is not who rides them tweets there. It's when they bring that eliminator pin 2 times.
Exactly.
And then that semi-eliminator pin 2 more times. So you got 4 times that you're fixing to get on. And, they may have put Virgil in the saddle bronc riding this year, but there's going to be some killer bees and some horses that's going to be saddle bronc, bareback, moving them around. We don't know where they're
going to land.
And there was a couple of good horses retired, so.
Hey, they've got loads of good horses. They've had just as successful a breeding program with our bucking horses today as the bulls.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
And they're all bigger and badder than they've ever been in the history of bareback riding.
And with that being said, one of our big sponsors with Mary is Vigen, and we got 3 clones out there in the deal. In the pasture, but you go up to Canyon, and they've got more bucking horse clones, cloning these Gold Wilds, the big horses and that. I think Jerry's got 2 or 3 studs up there. The guy down there at Fairfield, he's got a couple of studs up there that they're cloning because they can turn them clone studs out and breed them, and they got the exact same genetics to get the deal. The same colt.
That's very interesting.
And you can pasture breed them. Because I found out in the bull business, the AI and stuff like that, it just never worked as good. Them cattle and them horses are just a little bit wilder.
Right.
They breed wild. They are wild, and that don't mean they're crazy. It just means they got some spunk to them.
They got a little rodeo in them. So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's going to do us for the bareback riding on this show. Let's talk about the bulldogging right
there
after
you
this.
go.